It's storming, and I just feel like this is gonna be the perfect time for a quick little shell shine. Let's get our dish. I'm so happy it is storming for this. You have no idea. This is dream core life right now. Shelling, shining up your shells in the middle of a thunderstorm. Okay, first one. This little chunky orange boy. This one was already pretty dark and vibrant. Okay. She's worn. She's definitely been worn down, but she is going to be very pretty. Good one for the plants. Kind of sound like money, like a little, you know. I hope it rains. I'm really hoping for rain. Wow. She's interesting. I mean, like a purple calico, but the last time band on her, her last band of time, in her last days, she definitely has this pattern where the purple broke. And it's more white and pink. Really like this one. phobias. Wow. I really like this one. It does kind of look like skies on like a really like stormy evening. I don't know, something about it. I really like this one. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now This one definitely just looks like the sky. But it looks like the sky after Judgment Day. Like it's giving me like these little pedestals that like maybe the ancient masters are gonna be waiting on with all the clouds as they're riding the clouds. That's what I see. But maybe in a sense we're like, she's pretty grounded in her heart space, and then very solid. And then there's a very, very, very light band right here, followed by more solidarity. And then the next band cycle time, you get these wavy burgundy patterns. So like these waves of discernment, these waves of grounding oneself. And then they're met with little small specks of white. So little, bring, a certainty. Followed by another band. So it's like another habit was formed, another pattern. She got very consistent here. And then got consistent again, because the next band is like this darker purpley pink. And then again, waves of burgundy, waves of grounding, waves of meditation, ways of rooting oneself with little bring, bring, little white specks of clarity and certainty. You know, this white here almost kind of matches this white. So it's like, and then a new era, a new cycle begins, and she started to grow in solidarity again with this light mauve. She is really cute. Interesting too, her center remained open. So there's no interruption at her center. It's pretty much the same color with the exception of the top bands. I guess I could analyze it for hours, but you know, it's just a matter of how deep do you want to go. I'm excited for this reveal. Okay, I'm surprised it wasn't darker, but I love the juicy purple with this strong white background. This definitely has lines. There's definitely rays. But within the rays are these kind of like these clouded, wavy movements. Okay. Here's another one that's similar to her. Even down to where her center pretty much remained open. So we've got the burgundy lines here, solid burgundy, but right in between the second one, it's open, and it remains open throughout the life of the shell. The life of the mollusk, not of the shell. The shell is a byproduct. But there's spirit in it, right? Because the shell pertains to its physical world. You know what I mean? So this is like the spirit of the mollusk in a way, the spirit of the life that lives inside of it, and the experiences and the vibration of that creature is essentially what manifested this shell's colors and patterns and symmetry. Maybe its karma is what determines the condition, you know, whether or not it remains whole, whether or not it breaks. I don't know. Depends how deep you want to go and think about it. She's chipped, but man. Yeah, she's chipped, but I see why I picked you up. Right? Okay, so, I mean, I literally just said this. Like, maybe its condition in the afterlife, reflects some kind of karma or unfinished business. So this is super intuitive, but let's just say that because it's her right side, that it has to do with giving. You know, maybe her karma is somewhere along the lines of giving, because her left side of receiving is pretty full and intact. She will look good in a plant though. This one's pretty interesting because its tails are white and the base is almost like a very muted gray with little, very small specks of burgundies. So at its core, it's not exactly gray. So maybe at his core, he's not destined. Well, how do I want to say this? So if you look at the base, it's primarily, the backdrop of the shell is primarily white. So right there, that tells us that there is maybe like, so if you look at the shell, like right off the bat, you can see that the base of the shell, the back of the shell is white. So right there, that tells us something about this, you know, about this spirit too, this archetype. Because white is giving us clarity, but it's also a blank slate. So that makes us super impressionable and malleable. If I was going to read this shell, I would probably start with pointing out that the base of the shell is white. You know, like the little fins are white, the background is white. You still have very intentional white specks on the shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, where they're like actually white in very bold contrast. And the base is a very muted gray with these very small speckles of burgundies. So the gray is kind of like maybe this guy was destined for unity, for oneness. He had the potential because his background is so white and pure, and that makes him very malleable and susceptible, impressionable. And then all throughout the younger years, there are these waves of wisdom, grounding, discernment, followed by some moments where there's white being shown, but for the most part, he was certainly way more impressionable at this point in his life, right? The early years. And if you can kind of just imagine for a minute, this is a tiny shell. Imagine the shell stops here. You know, the tinies have so much more detail than the big shells, because the big shells, as they start to expand, they are also spreading their patterns out. You know, they're not as condensed. Whereas if you look at just this part of the shell, it tells a lot about their early years and how much they soaked up, how impressionable they were. And in early years too, you can see this band, this stripe of orange. It's muted and it gets interrupted 1, 2, 3, 4 times. But 4 other times, its cellular makeup was pulsating on and was able to receive this new lens, this new color, this new ray of light. And throughout its years, there's definitely these like bands of experience and grounding and knowing, met with moments of clarity. And actually, kind of after every single one of these orange bands, there is a white marking. White, orange, white, orange, white, orange, white, orange. So again, it's like, like channeled, something channeled, this orange ray of light, clarity, orange ray of light, clarity. So each time it's met with this boundary. Or truth. There's a lot of white right here in this cycle. Okay, now here's a good example. You know, her background is not as like a crisp white as this one. It is white. It just, I don't know why. It's not as white. And in her early years, if you could just imagine, again, the bottom part of the shell being its youth, even though she was pure at heart, she didn't have as much imprinted. So there is this very interesting, it's like a zigzag like this, of burgundy that is outlining this darker gray underneath, followed by this, again, the band of white, mauvey pink, blurred grays. Okay, and then we've got another band of time where there's little specks of burgundy, followed by pink. And then as she starts to grow up, she glows up, you know? She may have been like a bit awkward in her early years, but she really learned to start soaking in some experiences, and she learned how to turn on her light. And look how gorgeous she is. See? It's what happens when you leave the house. It's like this shell in comparison to who were we just working with? Here she is. I mean, besides the fact that this is more purple and this is more burgundy based, this one also is more of a cream base, right? It's more creamy, whereas she's more white. So this like creamy undertone definitely suggests that there's maturity here. There's some wisdom, whether it's ancestral, environmental, you know, whatever it is. Her baseline is just as bright and knowing and colorful, but it comes from a place of learned lessons. And she's got some, like, I mean, even though she's a traditional calico with like a lot of the watercolor speckled, you know, bands of movement, there's also some really definite lines that started to form. And so if you think of these lines as access points, or like, imagine like connecting to Wi-Fi, you know, these bands, anytime you see a band like that, you know, maybe that suggests that there was, you know, that she received something. There was a download. She was plugged in, you know? And the fact that they're purple is even cooler, because purple is like, you know, it's total royalty. It's like crown chakra. It's queen, level-headed, you know, got my stuff together kind of energy. So that is pretty cool to see all of these stripes, areas of alignment. And it didn't happen in her early stages either. you know? She was a pretty, I don't want to say average, but she kind of followed the status quo. And then we started rooting ourselves a little bit, followed by moments of rooting, but also like, I'm going to keep myself a little open, but I'm keeping myself open from a place where I know better. I know what's for me. And at the very core center of her, which is interesting, although it's not like a straight line necessarily, it's almost like circles. And so these are giving like an echo, you know, like something's being echoed out. Her vibe. She's got a real dreamy quality about her. Okay, so I thought this was just like super chalky, but it's not. I mean, she is lubed up down there, if you know what I mean. It's such a faded base. Like, it's like liminal. It's not white, it's not cream. It's like got a very faded mauve blurred. These lines, I can't make sense of this, because like this is not, the shell is not damaged here. She's perfectly smooth down there. Okay, I don't know how else to say it. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, and even like these markings down there, like they're completely smooth. I mean, she's smooth down there, you know what I mean? Like, but they're not like a very definite color. And then at some point, you know, she had a little clinger. Something was trying to grow on her. But her younger years are showing boring. Like, did she ever leave the house? And then you can see these new bands start to come in, and she starts to gain some really bold, beautiful colors. And even starts to activate this super hot pink. It's like all of a sudden she is like glowing up, and she's in her pretty era, you know, because all this like hot pink starts to come in, followed by more waves of grounding and discernment, introspection. And then we've got this burgundy. So it's like she goes from being kind of like average to glowing up. All of a sudden now she's like the hot girl, and then she grounds herself, but she comes out a more mature, grounded, discerned version of herself, while still keeping some of her white. But it was like she went from never leaving the house to being like the most malleable, impressionable person that you could meet. This one you can really see the white specks. Even though, okay, so the base of this shell is white, but there are still some very obvious touches of white, specks of white that are brighter than the white underneath. Let's shine her out. Okay. So if we start from the beginning, you know, not a lot of crazy experiences, pretty normal. Maybe at some point, you know, she started to root herself, a knowing of who she is. But then she kind of came out of it like, well, let's see what life happens, you know, still living with my parents. And then in her next phase, you know, we've got these waves of burgundy. And as she comes out of that, as she comes out of these burgundy phases, there are these definitely little accents of white. So it's like every time she comes out of it, she's met with clarity. She's that much closer to her truth. And then from there, we're a little wishy-washy again, you know? Our baseline is white and pure, so we are malleable, but we're not soaking up a lot in this time. And throughout the pattern of her life, she kind of remains very open, very pure, very clear. Maybe she doesn't have anything to prove. From a symmetrical point, what's interesting about this shell is that this side, the left side, is busier than the right side. So the right side is just like boop, 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 whereas the left side is these longer bands. So maybe that has something to do with her ability to give and receive. Maybe she received better than she gave. And those moments of receiving imprinted. But maybe she just didn't put herself in a lot of situations to receive too much either. You know what I mean? She didn't give enough. Enough times to develop the gift that comes from that. Wow. I love these bands. Oh, wow. Obsessed. She was definitely Sandy.